So last summer, my buddies and I thought it'd be a great idea to do a DIY hot tub in the back of my buddy's truck. Yeah, we filled it with water, a non-alcoholic beverage in hand, and took it for a joyride down Main Street like we were a bunch of legends. Halfway through, the truck hits a bump, and suddenly we're not in the hot tub anymore. We're in a mobile, aquatic death trap that smells like chlorine and poor life choices. Fast forward 10 minutes, we're pulled over, dripping wet, while the cops are trying not to laugh at three idiots who thought they could turn a Ford F-150 into a spa on wheels. Moral of the story? Some ideas sound awesome in your head, but in reality, it's gonna smack you in the face. Speaking of brilliant ideas that were never meant to see the light of day, let's talk about Lawn Chair Larry. This is a story of a man who looked at the sky and said, "Forget airplanes and helicopters, give me a lawn chair, some helium, and an unhealthy dose of confidence." This guy makes my hot tub truck look like a Nobel Prize winning experiment. Alright, so it's the late 1980s and we're in sunny Los Angeles, land of Hollywood dreams, washed up actors, and people with more ambition than sense. Enter Larry Walters, your average truck driver with a not so average dream. Larry's life ambition was to fly, like, really fly. But not in the boring, get a pilot license and buy a plane kind of way. No, that was too mainstream for Larry. He wanted to float up into the sky like a human weather balloon using nothing but a lawn chair and a collection of balloons you'd find at a child's birthday party. Larry Walters was the kind of guy who looked at other people's bad decisions and said, "Hold my beer and pass me those balloons." He was living proof that you can achieve anything if you're just crazy enough to try or too dumb to quit. See, Larry loved aviation, but he had about as much business flying as a toddler does playing with a Glock 19. Now, you'd think someone would have staged an intervention like, "Hey Larry, maybe this whole DIY aviation thing isn't the best idea.
It's time to stop."
You're a truck driver, not a Leonardo da Vinci. But no one said a word. His friends either didn't care enough to save him, or secretly wanted to watch this disaster unfold like the world's most ridiculous episode of Jackass. I mean, let's be real. If your buddy tells you he's going to strap balloons to a lawn chair, you don't stop him. You grab a lawn chair of your own, crack open a non-alcoholic beverage, and get the show on the road. Let's not pretend Larry was doing this for science, or human progress, or some noble reason like that. He wasn't trying to prove a point about innovation or test the limits of human genius. Now, Larry was doing this for the same reason every guy does something insanely stupid. To see if he could. No grand vision, no life-changing epiphany, just one man, a lawn chair, and the dumbest idea since they invented the pet rock. In Larry's mind, this was going to be the crowning achievement of his life, or at least the moment when gravity stopped being such a smug bastard. Alright, let's talk about how this absolute legend of poor life decisions, Larry Walters, actually built his death-defying flying machine. Picture this, Larry's in his backyard, staring at his ratty old lawn chair, the kind of chair your drunk uncle passes out at family barbecues, and he's thinking, yeah, this'll work. I mean, we've all had those moments when our brain goes, hey, this idea's pretty dumb, but screw it, I'm gonna do it anyway. Like when you're 3 tequila shots in, or sorry, should I say non-alcoholic beverage shots in, and decide you're totally okay to talk to your ex. That's Larry, except his bad decisions involve turning a backyard recliner into an aircraft. So Larry's out there with 45 industrial-sized weather balloons, and the kind you usually see in weather stations or cartoons where someone inevitably floats away into the sunset. He ties these bad boys to his lawn chair, and just for good measure, packs a pellet gun to pop those balloons when he's ready to come back down. Because that's definitely the tool you want to rely on when you're playing chicken with gravity. It's like he looked at all of human innovation from the Wright brothers to NASA and said, nah, I'll do it with a $10 chair and a Home Depot shopping spree. And get this, Larry's sitting there, strapping himself in, and he decides he needs a snack. Like mid-flight, he's planning just to kick back, have a sandwich, and crack open a cold one. The dude packed a 6-pack of beer. Who in the right mind is like, yeah, I'm about to drift thousands of feet into the sky, might as well get buzzed while I'm up there. It's the perfect level of, I know this is a terrible idea, but let's make it memorable. That we all secretly aspire to when we're about to do something really, really stupid. But here's the part that gets me. Nobody stopped him. Not a friend, not a neighbor, not even a stray dog wandered by to be like, yo, Larry, maybe rethink this? Just watched him tie balloons to a lawn chair like it was a Tuesday. Here's Larry, about to violate every known law of physics with the full support of his buddies, and they're probably like, yeah, go for it, man. What's the worst that could happen? Which, in hindsight, might be the most dangerous questions that you can ask in this situation. So there he is, strapped in, holding on to the makeshift aviation masterpiece like it's some kind of redneck Apollo mission, This wasn't just some lawn chair anymore. It was a one-way ticket to the history books or a headfirst dive into the Darwin Awards territory. Larry was about to become a legend, or at least a cautionary tale they tell to their children in science classes. And honestly, in that moment, I can't tell if he's a genius or the dumbest man alive. But hey, you gotta respect the guy's commitment to living life with zero chill. So while Larry's strapping himself into this airborne lawn chair with all the grace of a porn star trying to act in a family movie, my buddies and I are out lounging in our hot tub on wheels thinking we're gods of redneck engineering. We're waving to strangers like we're running for public office in a trailer park. Some guy yells out, "Nice hot tub, assholes." And I'm thinking, yeah, you just jealous that we turned a truck bed into the most dangerous water feature since your uncle's whiskey-fueled slip and slide accident. And let's be real, if Larry Walters had a truck like ours, he'd probably have duct taped a keg to that lawn chair too and called it Inspiration 2. So Larry strapped himself into his lawn chair contraption, floating up like he's about to challenge God to a thumb wrestling match. And here's where stuff gets real. He thought he'd just hover a couple 100 feet above the ground, wave to neighbors, maybe piss off a few birds, but no. My man skyrockets to 16,000 feet and he's been launched out of Satan's slingshot. Picture him sitting there, gripping the chair like a virgin on prom night, realizing he's gone from "this is a fun idea" to "how the shit do I explain this to the air traffic control?" Speaking of which, imagine being a pilot cruising at 35,000 feet, sipping your coffee when you suddenly see Larry up there in a lawn chair, giving the sky the middle finger. You'd think you're hallucinating from all that cheap airport diner food. Tower, we've got a redneck up here, drifting around in what looks like to be patio furniture. Requesting permission to laugh my ass off? Over. Larry's officially turned controlled airspace into a yard sale, and all he's got to defend himself is a pellet gun and his last shred of dignity. Larry's up there drifting towards the heaven like a depressed helium balloon at a kid's birthday party. And meanwhile, our hot tub situation is officially turning into the scene straight out of Jackass Backyard Edition. The moment we hit 30 miles per hour, water explodes out of the truck bed like we just triggered a premature ejaculation in a hotel jacuzzi. It was like being baptized by a firehouse of poor decisions. I swear, we soak more people than the street than a Catholic priest with a squirt gun on Sunday Mass. It's... In that moment, as water sprayed all over the damn place, I thought, man, if Larry Walters saw this, he'd be so proud to know that stupidity this profound truly runs deep. Meanwhile, Larry's panicking up there, realizing he's turned himself into a human kite, ready to crash land at any moment like a budget Evel Knievel. He grabs his pellet gun, his genius plan, to shoot a few balloons and drift back to safety. But you can see his eyes. He's gone from, "I'm living the dream," to "Jesus take the wheel because I clearly screwed up." So now Larry's up there thousands of feet in the air, holding onto his pellet gun like it's his last brain cell. He's officially in those shit territory, floating in the skyline like he's on an inflatable chair at a trailer park pool party that went nuclear. Meanwhile, down on the ground, pilots and air traffic controllers are losing their collective shit like, "Houston, we've got a dumbass." I mean, imagine the balls it takes to drift into commercial airspace in a freaking lawn chair. The only thing more out of place up there would be a stripper pole on Air Force One. Calling you, Bill Clinton. And then, just when you think it can't get any worse, Larry goes full Darwin Award. He starts trying to shoot the balloons to bring himself down, but in the panic, because, you know, he's 16,000 feet above what the shit was I thinking, he fumbles the gun and drops it. That's right, he literally loses his only plan for a controlled descent, watching his best idea fall faster than his last shred of common sense. Now he's just stuck there, a sitting duck in a plastic chair, drifting around like the world's stupidest blimp. Larry's floating at 16,000 feet, high enough to give a pilot a mid-air heart attack, and our truck is bouncing down the street like a busted vibrator on a discount aisle. We hit a speed bump so hard, I swear my balls ended up in my throat, and water launched out of the hot tub like a wet t-shirt contest going horribly wrong. I'm gripping my non-alcoholic beverage for dear life, thinking, if this is how I go, at least I'll die with dignity. Then I remembered Larry Walters was up there in his lawn chair, holding onto his pellet gun momentarily, like it was his last shred of masculinity, probably screaming, "I'm too high for this shit," in every sense of the word. Larry's friends down below, the ones who helped launch this redneck rocket, are probably rolling on the ground laughing, realizing their boy has now become a full-blown safety hazard. I mean, this guy went from local legend to sky-high cautionary tale in record time. The FAA is scrambling, the Coast Guard's probably scratching their heads, and Larry's up there thinking, well, this is either gonna end in a glorious rescue or my face in a milk carton. Dude's turned the sky into his own personal shit show, and all he can do is pray he doesn't get turned into a lawn chair pancake by a passing 747. So after all that flying frickery, gravity finally decides it's had enough of Larry's shit and starts pulling him down back to Earth. But because this is Larry Walters we're talking about, his descent is less graceful return to land and more brace for impact. He ends up snagging on some power lines in Long Beach like a tangled up Christmas light that left Santa hanging after too many eggnogs. The good news, he actually didn't electrocute himself or black out half of California. The bad news, he's now dangling from those wires looking like a piece of human laundry flapping in the breeze. And he's hanging there, waiting to be rescued. You can almost hear the collective sigh of relief from the airline pilots who can finally stop radioing in, "We've got a lawn chair up here, control, please advise." And then, like clockwork, the cops, the fire department, and probably a few guys from Animal Control showed up looking for Larry like he's the town's newest circus act. They drag him down, slap some cuffs on him, and charge him with violating airspace regulations, because apparently launching yourself into the sky like a budget Evel Knievel isn't exactly in the FAA's rulebook. While Larry's tangled up in the power lines, dangling like the world's dumbest Christmas ornament, we are finally pulled over by the cops with a truck bed full of wet regrets and empty dreams. The cop takes one look at us, soaked to the bone, covered in chlorine, and clinging to the last can of non-alcoholic beverage, and he says, "What in the holy frick were you morons thinking?" And in that moment I realized, whether you're in a lawn chair 16,000 feet above, or soaking wet in a mobile hot tub that smells like your grandma's basement, the answer is always the same. We thought we were freaking legends, man. We were invincible, just like Larry Walters, floating around up there, flipping off reality from the sky in a piece of lawn furniture that was one bolt away from disintegration. And as that officer writes us up for reckless endangerment, which honestly sounds like a compliment when you're that drunk, I look back at the truck and think, Larry Walters, wherever you are, I hope you can see this shit show and know that we honored your spirit by making some of the dumbest decisions humanly possible. Because whether you're crashing from the sky or getting arrested in a hot tub, at the end of the day, it's all about doing something so spectacularly stupid that people will still be talking about it years later. So here's to you, Larry, you insane, beautiful bastard.